Hello guys. Well, we're going with the final part of the use of commas. So we're going to check the other cases or moments in which we can use such punctuation mark, right? So if you can see the slide number 49, you will see that in the number 7 we can use a comma before a coordinating conjunction. Uh, so we have, let's say, some examples of it, such as for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, etc. Basically, if you are familiar with the concept of clauses, yes, of relative clauses, you will see that, let's say, the commas should be there in order to connect the two propositions or to make them not so long. Yes, so we have the first example in which we says he didn't want to go, comma, but he went anyway. Yes, so in those cases the two clauses of cause and effect, or effect and cause, depending on how they are, normally are separated by one comma. We have the other example in which it says, I want to work as an interpreter, comma, so I am studying Russian at university. Yes, those are, for example, two clauses of cause and effect. In this case, that will be the cause, I want to be an interpreter, and the consequence or the effect, so for that reason, I am studying Russian at the university. Now, it also may happen that the sentence is quite short, and it is somehow balanced, and in that case is optional to include the comma. So you will see the final example in which says she is kind, so she helps people. Yes, we could include a comma over there, she is kind, comma, so she helps people, but as I mentioned, the sentence is so short that you don't really need to stop. Yes, let's try it without stopping in the second example. I want to work as an interpreter, so I am studying Russian at the university. Right? Almost said it. Yeah, but again, the sentence doesn't flow so much. So if you need to make a pause, it would be a good idea to do it in the middle of the clause. Okay? Now, the number 8, it's quite important. Okay, so close attention to this. We use commas for parenthetical elements. What does it mean? It means that we have like some extra information. When we put something in parentheses, it is because we want to provide like additional information. Okay, but the rule of parenthetical elements is that if you eliminate the information in the middle, the rest of the sentence still makes sense. Yes. So let's try it with the first example. It says John Getton, and then there is a sentence between commas, right? John Getton, who is a chairman of the company, is quite old. Yes. So we're trying to give like additional information about John. But if I eliminate the information that is between commas, the sentence still makes sense. So John Getton is quite old. If I eliminate the thing in the middle, the sentence makes perfect sense. Let's try it with the second one. It says Andrew, my wife's brother, Andrew, comma, my wife's brother, cannot come. Yes, so again, here we're providing some additional information about who is Andrew, but if we eliminate that, my wife's brother, it makes sense. So we can say Andrew cannot come, and that makes sense, it's fine. And well, there's an example over there as if it is within the parentheses. Let's go with the final example. It says the objective to find peace in both countries is hard to reach. Same thing. The information that describes what is the objective is between commas, but if we eliminate that information, the rest of the sentence still makes sense. It says the objective is hard to reach. You see, if we delete it, to find peace in both countries, it would be good enough. Okay. Well, let's go with the final one. The final one on this slide, because we have 3 more to go. and it is to use comma after an introductory element. So we present like an introduction to what we are going to say, and then we put a comma and make it over there, right? So for example, we have this first part, rushing to catch the flight. So this person was in a hurry, right? And he was probably delayed, and he was late. We require to put a comma over there. Rushing to catch the flight, he forgot to take his phone. He was so in a hurry that he just forgot to take the phone. So there is an introduction to what happened. Yes, there is like an idea of why he forgot his phone, right? Then it says, as the year came to an end, comma, he realized the days were getting shorter, right? One more time, an introductory element that says that the year was almost over, and it was because of that the days were getting like shorter, right? It's a solstice sort of consequence, making days longer. So in this case, the opposite would be also shorter, or I mean, there's, let's say, an environmental cause, for days being shorter, or maybe it's just perception. Well, there are different things in there, right? But the idea is that there is an introductory element, and then I require to put a comma. Yes. Again, if I were to say this without stoppings, would be, as the year came to an end, he realized the days were getting shorter. Almost out of breath, right? But then the comma is optional if the introductory elements are quite simple, or not so complicated, or not so long. Like the one in the final example, it says, by evening we were getting worried, right? So what is the introductory element? By evening. So if you want, you could put a comma over there. By evening we were getting worried, or simply you can leave it that way, yes, without the comma. Fine. Let's go with these final three. These have like some similarities with the parenthetical elements, because it sometimes can go in the middle. But let's take a look at what is like the difference. It says sentence adverbs, words like however, unfortunately, surprisingly, that modify the whole sentence. Yes, often require one or two commas depending on their position on the sentence. So if you're going to use any of these words that are normally adverbs or sentence adverbs, so it's important that you, depending on the situation or the location of the word and the sentence, you're supposed to put one comma or both, right? So let's take a look at the first one. We have the word at the beginning of the sentence, however. So you're required to put a comma, only one comma. It says, however, comma, Anthony did arrive. Okay. Then, if the word is in the middle of the sentence, like in the second example, it's important to put both of the commas. Now, Anthony, comma, however, comma, did arrive. Yes, should be there, over there. Then it says in the next one, we were, comma, unfortunately, comma, too late. Same thing. You see, when it is in the middle of the sentence, basically we are going to have to use these double commas. And in the final example, it says he had, comma, not surprisingly, lost his temper. So always that you are going to find these words, such as however, unfortunately, surprisingly, and they have like a very big impact on the sentence, it is important to include the commas. Then we have these ones that are really important, yes, and the number 11, that usually are related to first conditional, second conditional, adverbial clauses, cause and effect, or something like that. Yes, so normally it requires a comma when it is at the beginning of the sentence, right? So for example, I have these ones. Yes, think about the conditionals. You already are supposed to be familiar with this, with the conditionals, right? So take a look at your notes if you don't remember very well, because it's important to know it at this level, right? So it says, if I win the lottery, comma, I will buy a castle, right? So normally when we start the sentence with if, it is necessary to put a comma between one clause and the other. Otherwise, if that is not the case, it's not necessary, right? Like in the example number 2. I will buy a castle if I win the lottery. So in that case, it's not necessary. And finally, this is more like an exception. Yes, it says do not use commas to separate two complete sentences. So if the sentences are already complete, it's not necessary to put it because you would require to use then a full stop or a period. No? So Ram wants to go out, period. Anthony wants to stay home. So it would be incorrect to put a comma over there because both of them are already complete. So that was it. Those were the 12 cases. Some of them I know that are really easy to get, like probably you already use them without any need of explanation. Some others, such as the numbers or the parenthetical elements or the adverbs, may become as a little bit of a surprise for you. I know it's a lot to take in, a lot of uses, and it seems like, teacher, really do I need to stop every time that I'm going to use a comma and like to think about what of the 12 cases is? Not really, no. I mean, you don't need to classify that mentally, but you start doing it like automatically. This is more like a frame of reference when you have a doubt or something similar. You can like check some of these rules and make sure like what is like the best option. But normally, I would say that your best judge or your best help in order to mention if you require a comma or not is maybe saying the sentence aloud and see if your body like tells you that it needs a rest, right? That you cannot say, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 sentences without stopping, because that will be tricky, okay? So guys, we will have only one assignment for this week, and it is the little workshop that I have for the use of punctuation over there, right? Like there are some exercises in which we are going to practice specifically commas and periods. Yes, that is what we're going to do. I know guys that like you could sometimes use internet or sometimes use correctors or different things in order to answer that. I am completely aware of that and I cannot do anything. I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine, because different from other cases, like for example when you write paragraphs and things like that, well, I can verify that you did it yourself, and I do that. But for punctuation, it's a little difficult, right? So my recommendation is that this exercise is for you to learn how to use it. So try to do it yourself without any help, maybe only the help of the computer, and that's it. Let's say the Word files or the Word program. But try not to use the internet to verify or check answers. So what? Why don't you do that? Like you can just do it, try to do it yourself, and then if you see that there are many a mistake or something, you could try it, right? But that's it. Also, notice that in some of the exercises that I'm going to give you, there is a possibility of more than one answer, right? So that is another thing to take into account. I really hope that you have shown that you in general are a really good group that is always concerned about doing your job properly. So I expect that this is not the exception, that you try to dedicate your time to do it yourself, because eventually you are going to have to do this like with what you remember in your head. Yes, so better sooner than later to start using this without external aids. Sometimes you cannot just stop and wait and look at the internet and then go back. Yes, imagine like preparing an essay for a job interview or something like that. Maybe you don't have those resources, so it will be important. Okay. Well, guys, so that was it. Remember, please do not forget about the evaluation on the next week. Remember, we will have um, a meeting this week. Hopefully, we already will have the meeting before you're watching this video. Or otherwise, well, remember that we are having that most likely on Wednesday. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. Good luck and see you around. Hugs.